Hi, everyone. Hello. Welcome to tonight's webinar. I'm Gabby, Education Manager at ISCD, and I'd like to introduce you to our lovely guest and presenter for tonight, Andrea Lucena-Orr, who will be, yes, very much presenting the Dulux Colour Forecast for 2024. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Gabby. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
No problem at all. Always lovely to have you on board with ISCD. We also have the lovely Amanda. Say hi, Amanda. How are you going?
Hello.
Good evening. How are you going? Good?
Good. How are you, Gabby?
Oh, very well, thank you. Very excited about tonight. And Amanda will be on a little bit later. And also Charlotte. Charlotte's here joining us as well tonight.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Just a bit of housekeeping. I'll be looking after the live chat tonight. So just put your questions in the chat box. There are two options, hosts and panelists and everyone. Just make sure you click everyone, as there's a chance that someone else might have the same question as you. And then we'll take those questions at the end. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Charlotte.
All right, thanks.
So, in the spirit of reconciliation, ISCD acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So let me just introduce you to the lovely Andrea, and I just wanted to just do a quick bio to drum roll you in. So Andrea's been working with colour for over 25 years at the DuluxGroup, executing colour training, trends and colour forecasting, and presenting her findings to trade, retail and the media. Her recommendations play an integral part in Dulux marketing strategies. Andrea scours the globe in pursuit of her passion, colour forecasting. What an amazing job you've got there.
I'm very lucky.
You are indeed. Fantastic. Well, with all that knowledge, we're dying for you to share it and spread it. So I'm going to jump off and let you do your presentation.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Gabby.
Thanks,
everyone.
See you on the other side.
No worries. Thanks, Gabby. And I'm going to share my screen and I'll take everyone through our colour forecast for 2024, which is very exciting. There we go. So welcome to the colour forecast. So for those who haven't joined us before, I might just give you a little bit of insight into how we come up with the Dulux colour forecast. So we are forever constantly looking at trends. So it's not something that just stops and starts, it's an evolution. And interior trends are quite different to fashion trends, in that fashion trends you tend to have seasonal and it just sort of goes from one season to the next, etc. Whereas interiors, we know that obviously people don't change their interiors every season or every year. But what we're trying to educate people is to change iterations every year. So even if they make one change to a space every year, it means their home is continuously keeping up to date, which is fantastic. It means you don't end up with a time capsule in your home if you've been there for 20 years. So we've been doing colour forecasts for 25 years. We actually just celebrated our 25th anniversary this year. So when we first started doing colour forecast, which was in 1999, predominantly it was for media. So media were coming to us and asking us, what are you seeing in colour? You know, what is the next thing? And obviously we were very fortunate at the time. We had a lot of overseas suppliers that were able to share a lot of information, because back then there was no information, there was no social media. Everything was quite bound by books or magazines. Certainly print was the only way that you found out. And it was also a much longer cycle. Whereas obviously fast forward 25 years, things have got much faster. The evolution is, the cycle of evolution is, it just keeps turning. It just doesn't stop. So this iteration of change, even though obviously it is a similar cycle, it's just sped up somewhat because we have so much more access to information these days online. So every year, the colour forecast is a significant milestone for Australian interiors. And this year we were reminded just how, you know, this inspiration really does, I suppose, look at colour, design, and importantly, key influences that continue to evolve. So this year's palette steep deeper into the mid-tone colours and really evokes sentiments of warmth, nostalgia, and also self-expression. So overarchingly, the hues in the 2024 colour forecast include warm colours with a yellow influence. We see pink undertones that appear in clay hues and reddy browns, olive green, and of course, accents of pale blue and a zesty yellow. With each palette's overall aesthetic offering a flexibility sure to appeal to a broad audience, this year's trends for 2024 are well suited for Australian homes and commercial spaces. So welcome to Solstice Muse and Journey. So let's have a deep dive into our first palette of Solstice. So Solstice is a melting pot of Mediterranean, Scandinavian, and African influence. This palette connects us to the sun as its life force and serves as a reminder that as the days grow longer, better days are ahead. The trend is rich with organic and primitive shapes, with colours that wrap warmth around us to evoke feelings of security and strength. So just a couple of things off our mood board. A lot of these images have come from Milan Design Week. We were very fortunate this year to celebrate our 25th anniversary in Milan, and we had an amazing event, which we hosted a lot of Australian designers and architects who happened to be in Milan. So you'll find a lot of these images are from there, but there are some from Colour Hive and also from LSN, which is Future Laboratory as well. So just having a look here, the top left image is from the Archi product stand at Milan. It was designed by Studio Pepe. It's called Terra, as in T-E-R-R-A, not the scary one. It was designed to provide a connection to the earth through shades of terracotta, sand, and clay. And it includes warm lighting, natural and experimental materials that really intensify our sense of connection to the earth. And I can absolutely assure you, after walking around for 6 hours by this stage and getting to this stand, it was a very peaceful place to sit and contemplate and obviously help our very sore and aching feet. Another thing which is really interesting on this mood board is the vase, which is just to the right of the Solstice header there by Italia Broom. It's called the Na MM vase. And it's by Emily Lisi. It's a unique handmade piece in a primitive sculptural form created with white stoneware, and then it has black embroidery added over cream fabric to create layers and textures. So it's a really beautiful piece, and each one is obviously custom. So it's all about that handmade creation. So looking at the colours, we've got some really beautiful colours here, really accessible palette here. We have incorporated our hero colours in these beautiful clay brown colours like Potter's Pink, Tan Wagon, and even Reddy Brown. We've incorporated these warm neutrals like Jodhpurs and Llama. And in that, we've also added natural white as our neutral white, with these gorgeous accents like pure blue, ocean surf, and ripe lemon. So they are definitely accents in this palette. So how does it look? When we're talking about Solstice, we're looking at design details that are tactile with furniture and sculptural style decor featuring raw and unfinished materials. We're seeing details inspired by Grecian motifs resulting in vessels resembling urns and braided features in textiles. We have hard surfaces that are softened and using highly textural fabrics with imperfect slub effects, and tactile suede and velvet. The addition of high pile carpets or rugs that feature tassels and fringing are something that we are seeing more and more, which is very exciting to see that back again. As far as materials, we're also seeing concrete, terrazzo, terracotta, clay, and lava stone. So all of those natural materials that you would expect in a palette like this. So working with Bree Leach, we were very lucky to scout 3 beautiful homes in Melbourne, in and around Melbourne, I should say, this year. And this one was incredible. This particular space, Bree really wanted to add the whole cocooning effect, obviously, here with Tan Wagon. You can see how this colour is affected by light. You can see just next to that window on the ceiling and the wall how much lighter it is versus in the shadow towards the fireplace and to the far right-hand corner. It really marries beautifully with blue, so any accents with blue are magical with these sort of brown pink colours. The image on the left is jodhpurs as our main colour, with that tan wagon coming through from that living space. Really beautiful colour. It's a great neutral colour, but it has that slight sort of yellow inference. So really great colour for light reflectance and to give you that sort of light and space feeling. The middle image there is the colour in handmade linen half. For anyone who has seen this colour, it is a neutral colour, but it does have a slight greenish inference. It's a really beautiful, soft and subtle colour to use. On the right, we have that gorgeous potter's pink, really gorgeous colour. It's a colour that is in the mid-tone and, of course, working beautifully with that jodhpurs at the end in that entry space. This colour is a really interesting one. This is called Llama in this living space. It is a really beautiful gold sort of tan, if you like. But when you see it in shadow, you can see towards the right of that image where it is in shadow, it looks a little bit more mustardy. And that's the beauty of colour. Obviously, that colour is never stable. It's always changing. And depending on surrounding colour and light, the colours can look quite different. And this is one colour that certainly fits into that piece. On the left there, once again, that jodhpurs on that gorgeous curved wall with that tan wagon coming in. But you can see that those beautiful earth-based colours in this particular palette. The middle image is that gorgeous deep reddy brown. You know, it is a brown, but it has that slight red inference. Really gorgeous, rich, decadent colour. Once again, with accent blues, it's just stunning. On the right there in this teen's bedroom, we've put potter's pink, and you can see how different this pink appears in this surrounding versus that stairwell that we saw a couple of slides ago. And here Bree has added the ocean surf in the alcove, that blue. This was a really interesting space. This was a darker space, and we've decided here to use the light rice half, which is that really beautiful light neutral, really great neutral. It's almost like a bridging colour. It can work with the greys, if you like, as well as those beautiful beige tans as well. Here, Bree was looking for that real Scandi sort of design style with styling and furniture. And I think this colour works so beautifully in that space. And it really just gives you that beautiful, subtle backdrop, both on the ceiling and the walls. So looking at these colours from a scheming perspective, and this is not just scheming with paint, this is scheming with the, all of the materials that you would normally do in a space. All of these colours are so earth-based that a lot of these colours you could use in high volume. And obviously you can pair them up. You can use all of the red browns together if you like. You can use those neutrals and do a contrast with a beautiful strong colour like reddy brown. Or you can also bring those accent colours like pure blue or ocean surf or even ripe lemon just for a pop of colour as well. This leads us to our next palette of Journey. So Journey is all about tradition. It's about travels. It's about folk and all the cultural differences that we see. The palette weaves together elements of bohemian charm, eclectic allure, and highlights the art of craft. A maximalist and pattern-heavy palette journeys about the story of an interior with a focus on the objects and items handed down and the rich ancestral heritage they represent. Similar to the rich and diverse tapestry in our own lives, the Journey palette beckons you in with this beautiful overarching warmth. And you can just see by this mood board, the pattern-heavy images here, really beautiful pattern on pattern, really sort of different sort of patterns as well, not just in one vein at all. Lots of different cultural references here. So a couple of things off our mood board here. The bottom left image by CC Tapas, that rug there. The rug is by the designer Bethan Laura Woods, and she's featuring patterns collected during her travels. This collection is called Guadalupe, and it's a collection of vibrant and rhythmic compositions that evoke the stained glass windows of the new Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City. And for those of you who are interested in following Bethan, she's an amazing designer. She actually had 3 or 4 installations at Milan this year, really beautiful pieces. And certainly she's one to follow. She's she just won the Mecca and National Gallery or NGV award, and she'll be actually installing as part of the triennial in December this year. So she's definitely one to watch, and she's a really interesting creative character as well. So another thing that I wanted to pick out is just this little green shelf, this olive green shelf, just to the left of the Journey header there. That is called the Arms Lazo wall shelf, and it embodies the art of decorative weaving in a practical object woven by artisans in Bogota. The shelf is made of 100% recycled PVC, and we're seeing this more and more now where obviously this reuse cycle is coming through in the interiors market. So lots of use of PVC recycled, or plastics recycled in especially outdoor furniture we're seeing a lot of, which is a really great way of reusing that waste. Another thing, obviously there's a lot of new materials but are being used, which are new materials that are used from waste, but also we're seeing some fantastic offcuts from the apparel industry being reused in the interiors market as well. Things like discarded denim offcuts used on the back of rugs. You know, it's such a fantastic, robust textile to use as well. And also for, lampshades as well. We're seeing discarded apparel textiles used as lampshade covers. So there's some really great ways of seeing this whole sustainability journey through interiors. So as far as the colours, a lot of mid-tone here. This is something that we saw a lot of, this mid-tone colour right throughout Milan this year. And the hero colours here are definitely in the greens, the green in Zena and Bean Counter, but also in those beautiful brown-based pinks. So bruised burgundy as our deepest, going into carmine, evening blush, and even lilac light. Really beautiful colours. Once again, they are still quite earth-based with that browner sort of tone. But we've incorporated warmer neutrals in this palette as well. So we've incorporated our warm white, which is the Antique White USA, Pollinate, which is a gorgeous neutral. It does have that slight ochre undertone, but also beige artifacts for those who want to sit on the fence and have those bridging beiges. This is a really great colour for that. It still has that slight warmth, but it will work well with the greys and greys right through to those beiges as well. So how does it look? So furniture and fabrics are heavily patterned and textured. In living spaces, we see time-worn rugs adorned with geometric shapes. We see wicker chairs, which are softened with things like plush velvet. Multi-coloured trinkets feature as decorative elements throughout interiors. Cushion materials are woven or knitted, and tassels are made from things like abaca fibre or other sustainable options. And as I mentioned before, we're seeing these sustainable fabrics being used to embellish lampshades as well. From materials perspective, we're seeing vessels, woven vessels picked up from our travels or passed down through generations, creating beautiful, interesting focal points. Vintage finds such as side tables or pre-loved vessels and bowls are given a new lease on life simply with a fresh coat of paint, reflecting Australians' desire for more sustainable design choices. And just one of the elements on this particular, one of the pieces on this particular mood board materials, on the top right, the studio states that beautiful timber mirror has got a really lovely heritage story behind it. So it's called the actual design around the mirror is called a pensel, and it was actually came from the old alpine milking pails in Switzerland. This pensel design was always on that outer rim of these timber pails. And this designer decided to bring back that beautiful heritage pattern into interior elements. And this obviously mirror was just one example, but what a beautiful way to bring that heritage pattern back. Obviously, we don't see a lot of alpine pails walking down the streets in Switzerland anymore. So once again, working alongside Bree Leach, we were able to get this beautiful home. This had such an interesting design, this home. It sort of had a beautiful Victorian feel, but then it had some really interesting, quirky Art Deco elements as well. So this living space, we've used the bean counter above the paneling there, and on that timber wall paneling, we've used Xena, that beautiful yellow green. So where these two greens are so different but work so beautifully together. And you can see that adjoining clouded sky there that adds to this sort of narrative and this storytelling. On the left there, we've got Evening Blush, which is that really beautiful brown base pink. So it has definitely got that browner base and works beautifully with that yellow green sofa, as you can see, but it would also work beautifully with blues as well. The middle image has that colour Lilac Light. This is a really gorgeous chameleon colour. It's obviously very light. It's got that sort of pink peach sort of look. Because this had red carpet in this particular bedroom and it was facing south, it was quite a darker space. It definitely looked more pink, but you can certainly see how this transforms into more peach as well, depending on surrounding colour and lighting. On the right there, one of my favourite images, this is Carmen as that beautiful red pink, if you like. We've got Evening Blush on the ceiling there, and also Swedish blue at the end in that sunroom space. Such a beautiful composition of colour. Just a different angle of this living space here with the Evening Blush, and you can see how we've used Xena just in that box bay window on the framing and also on the drawers there underneath the seating. Really beautiful way of bringing out those colours in that actual, in the LED light windows. The left there, this is gives you more of an Art Deco sort of feel, very retro looking styling. Here we have Clouded Sky, fantastic colour for anyone who's looking to make a space feel larger. Blues and greens are definitely your friend. Those more muted blues and greens, they recede. They're fantastic in small spaces to make it feel larger. They are definitely a long wavelength colour, which means we see them last. The colours that we see first are always red, yellow and orange. So they are our short wavelength colours. So it's always a really little great trick, if you like, that designers use these blues and greens to make spaces feel a bit larger. And that's always at mid-tone to lighter shades. The middle image there is that beautiful decadent bruised burgundy. It really has that gorgeous burgundy feel, but in some lights it can look a little bit sort of purplish as well. But once again, it has that brown undertone. The last image is a great shot. I love this shot because it shows you how colour can work when you're working through 3 different spaces. So here at the front, we've got the beige artifacts in that hallway going up to the stairwell there. The middle image is that dining space that had that beautiful clouded sky. And then we end up in that living room at the very front of this home in bean counter and Xena. So when we're looking at these colours, you can see once again a lot of mid-tone, lots of beautiful natural colours, but ultimately you can use like the 2 greens together if you like. You could contrast the green with the gold in Haywan. You can use those those brown-based pinks as well. You could use the 2 lighter shades. You could make it quite tonal and use 3 if you like. There's so many ways we can use these colours, and you can imagine a lot of these colours in textiles as well. Some really beautiful colours that would easily go together here. This leads us to our final palette of nudes. So a colourful array of hues, predominantly in the mid-tone. Once again, this palette evokes a nostalgic feeling and celebrates iconic designers and design details from the 60s right through to the 80s. There's a particular focus on the glamorous and adventurous 70s. Whilst many of us have lived through these design periods, the allure of the 70s and 80s is a whole new influence being embraced by younger generations. This trend strikes the perfect balance between expressive colours featured in postmodern interiors and the emerging modern hues in contemporary design, really resulting in interior spaces that are both timeless and pay homage to design icons from our past. So this is such an interesting area because if you think about the 70s, you always think about brown. Now, brown is one of those colours can be quite jarring, especially to people in my era, because I've lived through brown before. So I always say some people have been scarred by brown, but you almost have to go back to the drawing board because the way we use brown is very much more sophisticated than what it was in the 70s. And it's not mission brown. So everyone could do a big sigh of relief. We're not seeing any mission brown. It's much more in that mid-tone. And obviously with the browns comes all of those beautiful tan-based and beige-based warmer hues as well. So a couple of things off our mood board here. We're seeing that Zenota bowl table, which is just to the right of the news header there. That was in a beautiful, quite a bright orange, actually. It doesn't really show how bright it is on the screen. But interestingly, it was in a high gloss, and that's something that we did see a lot of in Milan in particular, was high gloss cabinetry, again, in furniture. So it'll be very interesting at Eurocachina in Milan next year, because it's obviously a focus on kitchens and bathrooms. So I'm dying to see the cabinetry and whether there's any gloss back. The other thing that was really interesting was the Sankel stand, which is on the middle image to the left. This particular stand, they were celebrating their 50th anniversary with fantastic nostalgic pattern references and really bold 70s inspired colour. And there was probably 4 adjoining spaces or rooms in this installation at the Rofiera Showgrounds. And it was really fantastic to walk through there. And we sat down on a couple of these sofas because once again, our feet were killing us. And it really gave you that feel of that nurturing. You could really feel the sense that you just wanted to stay there and relax. So there's really great qualities of browns that I think a lot of people are yet to experience. So as far as the key colours, obviously brown is a key colour in this palette. We're talking fan tan, guitar, and also this beautiful rich orange-based tan in Tuscan sunsets. We're also seeing the greens as important, and they're a little bit cleaner than the greens we saw before, which are much more on the yellow base. Bryophyte's almost like a Prada green, it's just got that slight cleanness to it. Then we've got surf green in the mid-tone, and obviously our deeper colour in hidden depths. Some of the key highlight colours in this palette are definitely the blues. The passionate blue we saw a lot in decor elements. So lots in textiles, in rugs in particular, just as accent once again, that there was a lot of this. There was certainly a mass colour that we noticed. So how does it look? So when we're talking about news, we're seeing decor shapes ranging from geometric to curvy, whilst iconic lamps such as the classic mushroom forms, features in bold colours such as a glossy orange-red. Adding to the fun and relaxed mood of this trend, furniture is low-slung, upholstered in sumptuous pattern velvets and featuring, this is new, chrome details again. So we saw a lot of chrome, especially in lighting, and we also saw it in furniture. So we saw it on frames of coffee tables and dining tables again. We also saw it in bases on furniture, sofas as legs. So it will be very interesting to see how that particular trend is directed into both tapware again, but also in hardware handles and things like that for kitchens and bathrooms. So that's certainly one to watch. Another thing that we're seeing from materials, we're seeing not only obviously these chrome details, but we're also seeing glossy surfaces, those high gloss cabinetry, luxury detailed stone, and I'm saying authentic stone, smoked or coloured glass, mirrored finishes, and you can just see here the Missoni stand had almost like that mirrorable finish on the seating there. And just these beautiful geometric shapes there was just so common throughout Milan this year, and Demore Studio was one example, but we saw plenty of that example. And you can see that chrome table just underneath the materials header, just how high reflection this is in this chrome. Like, we're talking so reflective, it almost looks like it's not even. And that was the sort of thing that we were seeing in furniture, but also in lighting. So once again, working alongside Bree, we were able to get this amazing house, absolutely beautiful Victorian home. Here we have guitar and Fantan as the two colours. Fantan is just on those double doors, but also on the ceiling and cornice and window frames. Really beautiful combination of browns. And Bree has done her colour magic here by adding that gorgeous gold daybed. Without that daybed in the image, it's amazing if you put your hand over that, it falls a bit flat. It needs that richness of that golden sort of glow, if you like. On the left there, we have passionate blue, that gorgeous deep blue with that sort of slight cleanness to it, with that surf green to really bring out the colours in that lead-like glass there. The middle image is a teen's bedroom. That's decoration blue, beautiful mid-tone blue, with that poach just simply on that gorgeous planter pot there on the left. The end image there was the passionate blue coming up the hallway with fluorescent fire just on the architraves. And of course, we head into this beautiful sitting room with surf green. And such a gorgeous composition here. We've got the mushroom light, obviously, to the right. Beautiful colours in this particular space. And of course, we've got those gorgeous cult chairs, which give you that real vintage feel, and very architectural sort of pieces as well. On the left there, we've got that sort of bright light, which is almost like that powder green. Once again, this was quite a dark space, so it's amazing the difference of this green. It's quite innately bright because of that cleanness to it. It really sort of lifted and gave it a more positive feel. The middle image is beautiful. This Tuscan sunset is such a beautiful, nurturing colour. Looks amazing with blues, but just as good with greens as well. And on the right, you can just see a detailed image of that sitting room with those chrome elements. So this is a little bit more, I suppose, adventurous from a colour perspective, but you can see, you can certainly use those colours tonally, whether you stay in the greens, whether you stay in the blues, or even those browns as well. You can also do some fantastic contrasting elements, and you could see that fluorescent fire with the passionate blue, you know, in the hallway there. So there's some really great ways that we can bring in colour, but you know, you can simply obviously use that colour in textiles, in rugs, in artwork. There's so many ways to bring in these colours, and even, you know, bed linen and things like that as well. So there we have the colour forecast for 2024. I'm going to stop sharing now, and hopefully we've got lots of questions.
Thank you so much, Andrea. That was amazing. Such a beautiful presentation. I loved how you went through the 3 different color trends and had the colors neatly labeled there, and it was very informative. So it really shows how much knowledge you've imparted over the years. And going to Milan Design Week, that's amazing. What an amazing experience.
It is an amazing experience. Yeah.
I'm sure we're all jealous. Yeah. Lovely. We had a couple of questions with regards to the names of some of the designers. So at the very beginning, there was one designer, like a Mexican, we were talking about the Journey palette, and it was the Mexican rug on the left.
Was it Bethan Laura Wood?
Yeah.
So she's on Instagram, if anyone would like to follow her. So Bethan, B-E-T-H-A-N, Laura Wood. And she's a British designer, and she is unbelievable. Like if you love color, you'll love Beth Ann. Even the way she dresses is incredible. So she's definitely one to watch.
Oh, fantastic. Great. We had a question from Whitney Hungerford. She said, if you are someone who sticks to white and neutral palettes, how would you suggest to start to incorporate color?
Sure. The best way to incorporate color, especially if you're working with a client that is very conservative, is to start in a bedroom space. A bedroom space is a personal space, so people don't feel as judged in those spaces as well. And it's somewhere that you can obviously close the door if you've got neighbours coming or friends coming. You don't have to share that with people either. So it is a great way to build your confidence with colour as well.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if they were the same designer. Bryony was asking, she missed the designer Bree's last name.
Oh, Bree Leach.
Bree Leach. Ah, yes.
LEECH. Yeah. And you can follow Bree on Instagram too.
Okay. Bree Leach. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
That's right.
I was curious actually about the brown and the blue in the first palette. Are they complementary or contrasting in Solstice, or are they?
For Solstice palettes, sorry, did you say the blue and the brown, or?
Yeah, the blue and the brown, is that?
It depends. Well, I mean, they're contrasting because obviously they're quite not opposite on the wheel, but they're certainly contrasting. But you know, they're quite. If you use like something like Tan Wagon and Ocean Surf, tonally they're very similar. So even though they're contrasting from a color family, tonally they work beautifully together because they're very similar strengths.
That's interesting. I never would have thought that. Yeah. Great. Yeah. And yeah, when designing a home, what is best for people to choose first? So the color palette for the paint on the walls or the furnishings, and how do you match?
Always furnishings and fixtures and fittings first, because there's a lot more paint color than there is color in, you know, all your materials that you use in a space. So always start with all the other elements, because the thing is with paint, there's a lot of nuances, there's a lot of undertones in paint that will either work or won't work with the materials that you've selected.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. And what tone is best for a bedroom versus a kitchen in terms of lightness and darkness, or is it very subjective?
It's a personal thing, very subjective. A lot of people like light kitchens, but in saying that, I've seen kitchens that have all black cabinetry, and you know, so it is a personal choice to what you. But generally, most people like light kitchens. They might go for some dark cabinetry, but certainly want light walls. And bedrooms, it really can be, it's a person. I love dark bedrooms. So my bedroom is a color called Baltica, which is a really dark charcoal with a blue inference. I love it because I hate light bedrooms. I like to sleep in absolute darkness, you know, no light coming through whatsoever. So I've always had dark bedrooms, but some people love lots of light and they have their blinds open all night. I couldn't stand that, but you know, we're all different, aren't we? So
yeah,
no surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. And who's your most inspirational designer? Who do you like to get inspiration from?
Oh, there's so many. Oh, I couldn't even. So I love actually from firms in Melbourne. I love Jasmine from YSG. I love David Flack, Flack Studio. I also get inspiration by Kennedy Nolan. The way they use colour is really, really great. There's so many, honestly. I couldn't even. There's a list about a mile long, and I also look at a lot of overseas designers as well, but ultimately I try and really follow Australian design and New Zealand designers as well.
Great, thank you. We've got a question from Whitney. Thanks, Whitney. How likely is the forecast for 2025 going to be completely different this year?
Forecasts do not differ that much from one year to the next, so that is one very important thing. It's a very different situation than fashion forecast, which I mentioned at the start. So it's an iteration. So if you looked at last year's or 2023 and 2024, you'll see variations of change, but you won't see mass change. When you look at mass change, you've got to look like over a 3 or 4 or 5 year period. 5 years, you really start to see differences. But remember, interior color, we don't throw everything out every year and start again. It's very different. The colors move ever so slightly one way or another. You might have a couple of new colors coming in the flock, if you like, but we've just seen, for example, the last 2 years, we've seen brown coming in, but not as much as brown today. So 2024 forecast has got a lot more brown than what we saw in 2022, but we could start to see that the base was changing. So that's where you see big changes, where base changes. So we've been living through this grey decade for 10 years or more. And now, in the last couple of years, we've now entered this browner decade.
So if I wanted to follow the trends, would I need to repaint every 5 years, or?
It's up to you. It's a personal thing, but you can do things that you don't necessarily have to paint either. You could be changing your bed linen, your cushions, your throw rugs, your floor rugs. There's so many ways you can change and keep adding to make sure that you're keeping your home up to date. So you're not living in this time warp where you've got to pay all this extra money in 20 years' time because you've not kept up to date with different colours and trends and textiles and textures and things like that.
Something to think about in my room now. I really need to add a few more elements.
Yeah.
We've got a few other questions, so thanks so much, guys. Let me just go up here. My mouse is not operating very well. Give me a second. I'll just ask Whitney's one again. So how would you use these colors in a home that is coastal?
Sure. So with coastal, you might choose something like the Solstice palette, which has more golds. And you could, if you want to keep it lighter, you could go for something like handmade linen half. You could use a little bit of the pure blue, natural white, light rice half. There's so many colors in that palette that would suit that coastal environment as well.
Thank you so much. Shara, I think I pronounced it right, said, how do you introduce color into, say, a bedroom space without too much stimulation for a space which should be calming? Or is it a matter of leaning towards calmer colors such as blues and greens rather than yellows and reds?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously calming colors are in those blues and greens. I mentioned before, they are long wavelength colors. But I always say to people, there's nothing wrong with just putting color behind your bed because it's not something that you see all the time. You only see it as you enter the space. But when you're sitting in bed, you're not going to be looking at that color. So it's a personal space. And I always think if you're going to bring color in, your bedroom's your best place to start, because no one is judging you. It's a personal space. That's the time you can be a little bit more less rigid and a little bit more daring.
Yeah, so would you sort of say you'd color or just one wall even?
I would just, if you're really terrified, I would just start with one wall and then build on there. I like to personally do at least 2 walls to get a better understanding of the color in that space, because often you've got a wall of windows or wardrobes or something like that anyway. So I always find two walls work beautifully in a bedroom space.
And how does lighting actually affect that too? Because one wall might have more lighting.
Well, they'll obviously visually look a little bit different because you've got different angles, but you also get reflection off both walls, so it won't look that different. But that's the beauty of color. It's not stable. You'll always get variances in color, and that's what I love about it, because it's never the same. From morning light to afternoon light, it differs completely.
Wow, great. Tracy says that these colors look fabulous. So are feature walls going out or being replaced with all walls being in color?
We are seeing, we're not seeing feature walls dying, if you like. People still like to use them because it is a much quicker way of bringing color into a space. But we are seeing more people using 4 walls in color. So especially in bedrooms, and even walls and ceilings as well. And really bringing that overarching sense of the color.
Yeah, nice one. And any kind of stencil work, how sometimes people have like
I haven't seen a lot of stencil work, but certainly just color on the ceiling and similar to the walls. So if they're not using the whole color, that same color right throughout ceilings and walls, we're seeing maybe tonal color on the ceiling of that same color. So maybe a bit lighter or a bit darker, depending on what the color is.
And Shara just asked about that. She said, do you find a lot of use of colour on ceilings, or do people stick to white?
So majority of people, yes, they would stick to white or versions of white. You know, if they use a colour on the wall, they might use half strength or quarter strength on the ceiling. But certainly when people are using colour now, we are seeing more and more people bringing that colour on the ceiling as well to get that. It gives you a much better sense of the colour, because what white ceilings do is they stop the colour. Whereas when you have colour right throughout, it gives you that whole sense of the colour. And it also, remember, it always look different on the ceiling anyway. So you're not actually using that same sense of the colour from an aesthetic perspective, because you get diffused light on ceilings. If the ceiling's flat, it's diffused light. It will always look different on the ceiling to a vertical wall where you're getting light reflection in a different angle.
That's interesting. Lauren had a question. Would you say wallpaper is making a large comeback in space?
In Australia, not so much. High end, it's always been a little bit, more dappled with, I suppose, but not in mass. No, definitely not. We're definitely not seeing that.
And Shara again had a question. Do you see much of using one colour on the walls and another on the ceiling?
Yeah, we see a little bit of that, but mainly kept in tonal, not contrasting, much more in the tonal setting. So if they're using greens, they might use a lighter version of the green of the walls on the ceiling. Even some of the images that we showed you today, like fan tan with guitar, those browns, just a lighter version of brown on the ceiling than on the walls.
Is that what you recommend, more of a lighter versus darker on the ceiling?
It's up to you. It's not, there's no right or wrong here. Colour, it's a very personal thing. So that's, when you're working with your clients, you're trying to understand where their psyche is on colour and draw out all of their cues to understand whether they're courageous with colour, whether they're, daunted by colour. It's really about understanding the psychology of your client and what they're prepared to do.
And what is the best way to draw out these cues from clients?
Asking questions, showing them images, asking them whether they've got images. And a lot of people do. They normally have Pinterest files or something that they've collected, or magazines that they've cut out images. I've seen all sorts of scrapbooks, you name it. So obviously visual cues are really important. And if you're, fortunate enough, you're actually in someone's home, you can easily see what they've got. You can see elements. Oh, they must love blue. They've got lots of accents of blue here, or, you can normally draw that out. It's not necessarily about what people wear either. What people wear and what people live with is often two different things. It's like saying your favorite car might be yellow, but you might hate yellow in your home. So you can't really relate about. Everyone has many favorite colors. It depends on objects.
Yep.
So as much as I would say, do you have a favorite color? It would always be around the home. Is there something that you've, lived with that you can't live without? What are the colors that we have to steer away from? That's probably one of the first questions you should ask. Is there a color that you've never liked for interior? Because it's one of those things. You always remember the things that you don't like. You don't necessarily remember the things that you do like.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have like an app, or do you use SketchUp? How do you like, if you were to just input a picture, like a digital model, 3D modeling software, something like that, to actually imagine my space with that color on the walls?
Well, I mean, many designers use SketchUp. But we have our own visualizer for Dulux, which is on our website. There's lots of different ways of doing it. Obviously, there's many rendered software packages now, but ultimately, as a designer, it's about sampling. It's about seeing physical samples and looking at color on the right axis as well. You have to understand that paint normally goes in a vertical axis. Things like bench tops normally go horizontally. You need to see that color versus that color on the same axis level. That's what's going to give you a much more accurate sense of the color, because of lighting reflection as well, and how they both interact with colour.
Thanks so much. Uma had a question. What are the sources of inspiration for the Dulux Colour Forecast, and how are trends depicted?
Sure. I mean, this is constantly. So we're always looking at the next thing. So once launched, we're already working on 2025. So I've already sat through Trend Unions seminar, which was online. That was 4 hours. And, you know, we're part of LSN, which is a future laboratory, their trend trend organisation, I suppose. We're also part of Colour Hive, which is, they do a magazine called Mix Magazine, which looks at design, texture, colour globally. We are part of Colour Marketing Group, which is an international not-for-profit organisation that works with people that manufacture colour of all things. So not just interiors, but we're talking, you know, Brabantine bins, we're talking Samsonite luggage, we're talking car manufacturers, apparel, all sorts of things. But it's really interesting because you get great insights in those groups as well. And we also, obviously, whatever information we collect, we always have to bring it back to filtering for our market, because not everything we see in the global market will necessarily work here. From a lighting perspective, where in the Southern Hemisphere, our light is much brighter than in the Northern Hemisphere. Also, just from a cultural and just our lifestyle differences as well.
Well, Australia is a very multicultural society.
Very multicultural, but we also have different lifestyles. We're very indoor, outdoor. You know, even in Melbourne, you know, we still really, you know, guard our outdoor space. And a lot of us obviously entertain outside. So, you know, that is a very big part of our culture here.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we have time for one more question. Shiraz's got another question.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thank you so much. If someone was considering a career change into interior design, what would be your top tip for moving into that space, or top color tip to keep in mind? And don't say sorry, Shiraz, it's fine.
There's so many top color tips, I don't even know where to start, but I'll start with the first thing. So it is a fabulous industry to be involved in. So if you have that passion to help people design their perfect space, definitely I would recommend it. It's a wonderful career in a really supportive industry as well. So totally recommend interior design. The other thing from a color top tip, when you're working with a client, remembering that it's about educating them. Number one, it's educating them. Color is never stable. Color's constantly changing around surrounding color and lighting. A lot of people that maybe decorate or, you know, renovate once every 7 or 10 years, they're not as familiar with color and design, obviously, as professionals. And it's your job is to educate them and show them elements, but not too much. You don't want to overwhelm them as well. So always keep it really succinct, give them a couple of options, but really educate them on how things can change, and how obviously, you know, these things aren't stable, they do change.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we've running very close to end of the session, so I want to leave you to have a nice dinner with your family. So we'll have to stop there. But thank you so much for sharing all that insight. We always love having you come back, and I've learned a lot as well about color. And I just would love to watch your presentation all again. So I'm going to watch the recording. So that's a good point, everyone. So it is recorded. So if you want to watch this all again, you can, because there's some juicy information there. And Gabby, did you want to have any questions, or did you want to add anything?
Oh, the questions have been incredible. They've been so good. Like, yeah, you never know, like, are people, you know, chatty or not? And tonight it's been really good. And Andrea, you're just such a whiz, and you're a craft, you know, at your craft, you know exactly what you're doing. And I just sit back and I just love it and enjoy it. So for me, it's just, yeah, it's education as well. And the one thing that always stands out for me is that, of course, it's just the way you always gravitate towards, but the editorial styling and the things that you guys do as a team is just next level.
No, we've got a wonderful team behind us, there's no doubt. Yeah. And, you know, we're all passionate about sharing the love of colour. You know, if only everyone had a chance to live in a space with colour, none of us would live in white. And that's the difference. If you feel that a power emotive connection that you get when you personalize your space with color, you will never revert back to white. It's about educating and sharing the love, I suppose.
That's
So if
exactly.
we wanted to redesign our home, then can we go on your website, and do you have some colour consultants that can come to your?
We absolutely do. We do all of that. So there's never any shortage of help. We also have a free online colour service, which is called Colour Chat, which is on the side of the website too. And they're all trained professionals on that, and that's 6 days a week. So if anyone, just needs to know what goes with colour bond monument, or, those simple questions that you get asked as well, there's always someone that can help you on that as well.
Oh, beautiful.
I was just going to
So
say one last thing,
Sure, yeah.
Charlotte. Sorry, just with regard to our community and existing students and people in the industry or wanting to be, having access to the collateral that Dulux offers is another really positive thing. And I think our students really reach out and love to get the fan decks and order the samples and things like that. So setting up trade accounts and stuff like that's really important too, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And as soon as you've got an ABN number, you have access to the free A4 samples as well, which is a really fantastic service. We've just actually celebrated 30 years with our colour centre. So that's a really big milestone as well. So yeah, we've got some really great colour tools. So definitely, if you are interested in interior design, it's one of the best investments, just purchasing an atlas, and we've got it free online as well. All right.
website then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, no problem. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. It was wonderful to have you. And if you want to find out more about ISCD, just stay online. But we'll say goodbye to Andrea. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Gabby. So we'll touch base with you soon, Gabby. But I'd like to invite Amanda to just do a very quick overview of ISCD's courses. So I'll take it away, Amanda.
Thanks, Charlotte. That was really great. Just being mindful of time. I'll quickly go through our courses for those who are not our students already. Basically, I'll just show you a little bit of what we offer. And let's start with our curriculum. So our curriculum includes 2 nationally accredited courses, the Diploma of Interior Design and the Certificate for Interior Decoration. We also have essential short courses as well as micro-credentials that can lead you into a direct pathway to our accredited courses. They are all 100% online, and they are flexible with intakes and payment options as well. Those courses, they have been designed and developed with our creative technology collaborators, the Academy of Interactive Technology, and you can be confident they will be very relevant into the interior design industry in Australia. And if you have any questions about what we offer, or you'd like some more information about our courses, please contact Charlotte and I directly. This is our contact number, email address as well. We also will have an info session on the 9th of November at 12:30 p.m. New South Wales time. We will be talking a bit more in depth about our courses, what we offer. We hold those information sessions regularly, and we always talk a lot about what to expect when studying with us. So you can just apply to our website, iscd.edu.au. You can also scan this QR code on the screen that will lead you directly to the page. And if you're ready, you want to start straight away, you know what you want, you can apply online through our website, iscd.edu.au. You can also scan this QR code on the screen. We have weekly intakes, so you can pretty much start anytime. And let's go through questions. If you have any questions about our courses, I'll ask Charlotte to come again and we can have a quick chat.
Great, thanks so much, Amanda. I think, yeah, it's a bit quiet. There's a lot of questions in the beginning there, so
Yeah,
might just wait a little bit. But yeah, yeah, so as Amanda said, we will have more of an in-depth information session coming up in a couple of weeks, actually. But actually, Donna had a question. Thank you so much, Donna. Is studying online self-paced, or do I need to complete things by a set time? So Amanda, do you want to answer that one?
So the course is 100% online. All the classes were pre-recorded, which means you can do it at your own pace. It's quite flexible in that sense. You do have assessments though, so you have a logic sequence that you have to follow through. We have study blocks and subjects. So once you complete your first subject, we'll go to the next one. So yeah, it's self-paced, it's very flexible, but you still have to go through a set amount of assessments.
Great. And Shira asked, how is the content delivered online? So you mentioned the pre-recorded recordings. Is there anything else apart from that in the way that it's delivered online? What other things is there contained in the course?
You mean you have access to a platform called Canva? That's the platform we use for our courses. So you have access to a mix of components of classes pre-recorded, but also things to read, images, mood boards. There's just a lot of different components into your Canva account. We also have on the website an online class trial, which I always recommend. It's a good way to see a little bit of how it works and what kind of work you'll be doing.
Yeah, great. Thanks. As the course is self-paced, what is the predicted duration of the course? From Ellie.
So yeah, of course. So for the certificate it's a 9 months duration. And for the diploma, it's a 18 months duration. This is what we understand you need if you're doing your course around 12 to 16 hours of study per week. But you can always take a little bit less or take a little bit more depending on your commitment as well.
Yeah, great. And Sarah asks, are your short courses online? I can answer that one. Yes, are as well. So apart from the certificate for and diploma, we do have short courses. We've got essential short courses, which are not accredited, but they give you really good basic knowledge of styling or colour or surface design. So we've got 3 different short courses, and these are 6 weeks long. We also have micro credentials, which are more of a shorter, it's a 9-week course, but these are accredited and they're standalone subjects essentially from the diploma. Okay, I'll post a little bit about that in the chat as well for you. All right, any other questions?
I think everyone is ready to go have dinner.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, we will have the next info session where we'll be talking about ISCD and what we offer. So if you're still not very certain or you just want to get more information, yeah, register for the next event. It will be about ISCD itself. So yeah, come join us.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, so we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll ask Gabby to come back on as well, just if she wants to say any final words, Gabby.
Thanks, ladies. Oh, no, my head's spinning. I want to go back and have a look at the recording and listen again. Like you said, Charlotte, it's amazing. I just, yeah, really love Andrea's knowledge and her wisdom. And yeah, I've really enjoyed tonight. And yeah, if there's any sort of questions, I guess, outside of what was asked, as you say, we've got our info session coming up. So we always cover all bases in those sessions as well. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I've just popped our details, Amanda and myself. You can reach out to us via phone or email if you have any further questions or if you need a course guide or some more information. But join us for the next session. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.